Sabrina from Love is Blind France said, I didn't pay all this money for these cosmetic procedures not to be called beautiful at least twice a day. And that seems to be the main issue in her and Van Mai's relationship. Sabrina comes across incredibly insecure, and it seems like she lives for validation of her beauty, male validation, especially the one that she is dating, marrying, etc. To me, it seems like she wants to be the hottest woman in the world to her man. She's used to being the trophy girlfriend, the trophy date. She's used to, men showing her off and, being his ego boost of being the beautiful girl that he's with. And that's not to say that wanting those things are bad. I just think when it becomes your whole life to the point where you're literally crashing out, I feel like there's some inner work that needs to be done. Now, don't get me wrong, I've said it before, and I still believe that as a woman, you should be your man's type for optimum results. But she decided to go on Love is Blind. And I just feel like, why come on Love is Blind if you know that you're a superficial girl? Now, I guess coming into it, she is conventionally attractive. I think there's a different aesthetic there with her because she's got the filler look. But she is conventionally attractive. So I think she just automatically assumed whoever sees her is going to be smitten with her, right? And let's be honest, if we're comparing the women to the men, face cards, typically the women be having the face cards and they're managing with the men. Like maybe there'll be like one or two men that are actually good looking, and then the rest of them is very much like, average men. So I think she went into this experience thinking like, they're gonna love this, like they're gonna be blown away when they see me. Van Mai, he's also an attractive guy. He's also conventionally attractive. So we've got two conventionally attractive people here. Now, Van Mai actually hasn't come out to say that Sabrina isn't his typical type, right? The issue is that I guess Sabrina isn't his typical type or like number one pick, right? If he could pick any woman in the world, it probably wouldn't be Sabrina. But if she turned up on a date, he wouldn't be disappointed. And Van Mai actually never told Sabrina that she wasn't his type. This is something that she is assuming, right? He was very careful to be like, I'm not saying that you're not my type, but you don't look like, people I've dated in the past. I think he was actually trying to avoid the question, but Sabrina kept pressing, and he was just basically like, well, my exes were, had olive skin and brunette. To me, is like interesting is that Sabrina possesses these traits. Her hair's basically brunette. It's like a light brunette, but her hair's brunette. I mean, she could get a pack of dye and be, a classic dark brunette, right? If she wanted to be. She's olive toned, but she is North African. She's of Moroccan descent, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be another North African country, but I believe she's of Moroccan descent. Moroccan/North African descent. So maybe she doesn't identify as olive skin. I don't know how to identify that, especially when it gets to North Africa region, North Africa, Arab regions. Some of them brown, some of them are brown, some of them are olive, some of them are white. So I don't know how she identifies, but I feel like maybe she doesn't see herself as quote unquote olive skinned, even though she fits into that category visually. So now when he's talking about olive skin brunette, what aesthetic is he talking about? That's all up in the air. I'm assuming he is talking about the stereotypical, if you could imagine like an Italian baddie, right? I'm thinking it's something like Wolfie Cindy. That's what I'm imagining in my head, that type of aesthetic I'm thinking about, which is different to Sabrina's aesthetic. I think maybe he's looking for more of a natural look, or like, toned down filler look. Not necessarily Sabrina's aesthetic. I do not feel like he finds her unattractive. I think he does find her attractive, just not his tip. And I think Sabrina emphasizing this and emphasizing her insecurity is making it worse. I don't think it was that big of a deal just because it seemed like other parts of the relationships are going well. But I feel like if she really needed that reassurance, she needed those words of affirmation, she needed more compliments with him, she simply should have communicated with that. I feel like she went around it in a passive aggressive way, dropping hints here and there. He wasn't picking them up. Then she's getting frustrated, and then we see this crash out in the latest batch of episodes. So what ends up happening is all the engaged couples are at this house party / gathering, and Sabrina just starts going off on Van Mai, basically saying he doesn't think I'm attractive, he barely compliments me, I can count on one hand how much he's complimented me, I'm not his type is olive brunettes, he showed me pictures of his exes and I don't look anything like them, like he's clearly not attracted to me. Van Mai's trying to diffuse the situation and is like, no, it's not like that, you actually asked to see pictures of my exes and you showed me yours. So yeah, I do find you attractive. I said I've complimented you, so I don't know where this is coming from. He pulls it to the side and is basically like, why are you doing this in front of everybody? Like, I don't like how you're airing out our business like this. Like, let's talk about this one-on-one. They end up leaving the party and Sabrina continues to go off on Van Mai. She's calling his girlfriends bitches and whores, saying that they were on Instagram with their tits out. It's not a good look, Sabrina. It's not a good look. She does apologize the next day. And Van Mai says that he accepts her apology, but he is looking at her sideways. And because you are not the ideal type, it's just not good for you. If you were the olive-skinned brunette, his usual type, maybe you could get away with this crazy behavior. But when you're not the ideal type, you can't be getting away with this crazy behavior, Sabrina. No. So now Van Mai's feeling a type of way, and I think he's perfectly entitled to feel a type of way, because what was that? I can understand her like maybe being upset, not being his typical type, but it's not a crime. It's not like he's called you ugly or treated you ugly. Maybe he could have been more proactive with the words of affirmation, but you should have had a conversation with him, not dog him out in front of everyone. So now he's kind of thinking, I don't know about Sabrina. She's a little bit crazy. She's a little bit tick, tick, boom. Sabrina ends up meeting his family and she has a one-on-one with his sister. Why is she not asking about, have you met his exes? How do they compare to me? Blah, blah, blah. And the sister's looking at her like, why are you even asking me about his exes? And she's like, I'm not sure if this one's mentally all there. Like, I'm not sure if she's a psychopath or not, because it's giving crazy possessive. And I think the sister is onto something there. And again, it's not looking good for you, Sabrina. You did the crash out. The sister's looking at you crazy. And the sister's going to go report back to Van Mai, and it's just not looking good for you, Horn. It's not looking good for you, Horn. Personally, I don't feel like this attraction thing was that big of a deal for Sabrina to be making a big deal out of, and she's made herself look bad. So I'm not going to be surprised if her and Van Mai don't make it, because, like I said, you're not the ideal type to be getting away with this type of behavior. If you want to be cheeky and crazy, you got to be the ideal type. That's the playbook, Sabrina, and you know that, and that's why you hate it. So yeah, Sabrina, I don't know, girl. But what do you guys think? Do you think Sabrina's valid? What do you think about Van Mai? Let me know your thoughts. Or do you just think it's crazy?